All right, top story in the NBA has nothing to do with Oklahoma City making it to the finals. It has nothing to do with the Pacers and the Knicks going to a sixth game or Giannis's impending summer of whatever it is.
Not at all.
It's that Chris Mannix, who's back here on the Rich Eisen Show, has some personal news to impart, and that is what? Chris Mannix?
Don't do juice cleanses.
Ladies and gentlemen, Chris Mannix.
All right. Hey, good to see you.
Chris Mannix, everybody.
Hey, good to see you.
I'm on the back end of a week-long juice cleanse.
All right, so first of all, follow-up question, why?
Well, I've been on the road for a while.
Okay.
And when you're on the road,
It's no good.
a lot of pizza,
Bad choices.
a lot of Chinese,
Bad choices.
a lot of things that are bad for you. So I get back in LA earlier in the week, and I'm like, I got to do something to reset before I go off to the finals. Juice cleanse, I've tampered with, I don't know the right word, but I've messed around with a little bit in the past. This is the longest I've done it. This is the last day of it. Tomorrow, I'm having so much meat, it's probably going to make it all worthless.
Go right back to it. Is this what Luka did?
I don't know. He's looking slimmer, though. But
Well, you got the white T-shirt thing going,
I know,
too.
Luka,
Are you on the Luka plan?
Only thing Luka Doncic and I have in common is that. Luka's weird, though. Like, he has, maybe it's the youth of him, but he has the ability to go up and down in weight very quickly.
Sure.
Like, he can be 20 pounds overweight 1 month, and the next month, he's looking incredibly slim.
Maybe he's a method actor. That's what it sounds like. Didn't like De Niro put all that weight on for Raging Bull, and he took all the weight off?
I think it's more he's 26 years old.
Could be that.
It's easy to do things like that and anything else.
So maybe he is on a juice cleanse. He's on something. Unless the Lakers, as I said the other day, acquired 2 rim protectors named Ozempic and Manjaro.
Hey.
Those could be that could be it too.
Ozempic Luka?
I don't know. Luka Zempic?
I don't know. I never know with camera angles. Remember like when James Harden was at the end in Houston?
Yeah, that's right.
And his last game there, it looked like he was wearing a fat suit.
Yeah.
And then he shows up in Brooklyn.
Yeah.
And he's looking like he's 20 pounds lighter. Like
That's
sometimes
right.
the camera does lie.
That's true. James Harden, remember, by the way, Chris Mannix here on the Rich Eisen Show, our radio audience just returned. Harden used to be able to seemingly put weight on out of spite and then take it off out of trying to spike the team that just got rid of him. He seemed to have that ability.
You start to think, too, that maybe he was wearing a fat suit at times or was intentionally misleading the public about his weight. Because as long as I've covered James Harden,
yes, sir,
his weight and his conditioning has been part of his narrative every single year.
Seems like that's what Luka is now, right?
Yeah,
pretty much.
Same thing, yeah.
All right, let's hit the main story right now. The Knicks extend the series to a 6th game. I'd love to get your perspective on what you've seen so far out of the Eastern Conference Finals. What do you think, brother?
Wild series. I was at the first 4 games. Game 1 was one of, if not the wildest finish that I've ever seen, with Nesmith going off. And there really hasn't been much of an ebb and flow to this series. It's been unpredictable, really, from start to finish. Tyrese Halliburton has had some great games. He's had some truly awful games. Karl-Anthony Towns has been up and he's been down. But when I watched Game 5 last night, I'm thinking to myself, why can't the Knicks play like this every game? Offensively, we know they're good. They were a top 5 offensive team in terms of rating. Brunson, Towns, elite offensive players for their position. But watching them defend in that way, holding the Pacers to 41% from the floor, 33% from 3, forcing 20 turnovers in this game. The Knicks have the bodies to do something close to this on a regular basis. You think about it. Mikal Bridges, elite defender. OG Anunoby, elite defender. Mitchell Robinson, elite rim protector. They should be able to be better defensively than they've been throughout the course of this year. They were the middle-of-the-pack team defensively in the regular season. They've been a middle-of-the-pack team defensively in the playoffs. Last night, they put it together on both ends of the floor. I don't know if they can do it for 2 more games, but I watched that game, and I'm like, this is the best version of the Knicks. I don't know why we don't get this more often.
Well, I think the reason why, if I could just give one, in this series is because the Pacers get up and down the floor so damn fast that if your defensive strength is half-court defense, you're not set up. Sometimes maybe last night's transition defense was better, or the Knicks made more shots and the Pacers, what they usually do, just get the ball up the floor and retort anyway. Some of their shots just didn't fall. I mean, Nesmith didn't make every shot. Siakam didn't make every shot. Usually when the ball is up off of a wide open three for the Pacers in the first 4 games of the series. It's going straight through the net, and that didn't happen last night. Maybe it was part of the Knicks' defensive effort that can be repeated in the next 2 games. Maybe. I just don't know.
I think it was part of their defensive effort. I think the defensive effort against Tyrese Halliburton was the difference maker in this game. I mean, what Halliburton did in Game 4, putting up the kind of numbers that we've literally never seen in a playoff game ever before. The Knicks, going into Game 5, made some subtle changes. They blitzed more when Halliburton was coming off screens. They put more pressure on him coming up the floor. I think overall, Bridges has done a pretty solid job on him in this series. And taking him out of the game like this, where not only does he have 8 points, he only takes 7 shots in this game. If you're Tyrese Halliburton, you've got to be well above 15, at least, I would say at least probably 20, if not more, for this team to win some of these games. I know he's first and foremost trying to be a playmaker out there, trying to get the ball up the floor, trying to make the right play, but you cannot take 7 shots if you are the star player on this team and expect to win games in this series.
Yeah, to use the Indianapolis sort of phrase here, I don't, he kind of had his hands on 10 and 2 and a foot on the break last night.
And he's done that a couple of times.
I don't
in this
think
series.
that'll happen in Game 6.
Well, he did it in Game 3. Like in Game 3, he didn't have as few shots, but he was taken out of that game early and never really got back into it. Actually apologized after Game 3 for his performance, said, put this on me. Responded well, played great in Game 4, but he did it again here in Game 5. I think the question going into Game 6 is which version of Tyrese Halliburton is going to show up. If it's the version we saw in Game 4, that we saw for most of Game 1, Page is going to close this thing out at home. If it's a lesser version of that, series coming back to New York, man. In Game 7 at MSG.
Oh, boy. Oof. I was saying that is the way for TNT to be sent off,
Yeah.
But again, Pacers fans do
I'm not
not
sure
care.
what I can't really go into the TNT being sent off stuff is bizarre to me, since the entire Inside the NBA show with its staff is going over to another network.
Yeah, I know.
And basketball, I don't know if you know this, basketball will still be played.
I know that. I do like Turner's game presentation just quite a bit.
Yeah.
And I do hope, Harlan goes and gets a gig
going somewhere. Stan's going to Amazon. They're all going somewhere. Reggie's going, I think, is he going to NBC right?
God, I love Harlan. All right, so Chris Mannix here on the Rich Eisen Show. Heart of Hearts, sodium pentothal. They're set. They're on truth serum. The Thunder wants who? Who do they want?
I think they'd probably say the Knicks are a better matchup. The Pacers are kind of Thunder light. They play 10, 11 guys. They've got a star point guard. I think the Knicks are an easier matchup because the Knicks, Jalen Brunson's the head of the snake, but as the Thunder have shown this postseason, they have so many weapons defensively. They can put Dort on Brunson, Caruso on Brunson, Case and Wallace on Brunson. They can win in the half court. They can win push. Like the Knicks, to me, are just a better matchup for the Oklahoma City Thunder. But I don't think either one of them is that tough a matchup for Oklahoma City. I said this earlier in the week, like, Oklahoma City in the Western Conference playoffs passed every test that was put in front of it. Real test. Down 2-1 against Denver in Denver. They win Game 4 in a low-scoring game. Game 7 against a former champion. They blow them out at home. Then you go into this conference finals. Game 3, they get tattooed in Minnesota. Timberwolves got some momentum. Game 4, they go out and they win that game. Then they blow them out in Game 5. Like, they have just consistently shown that they are not afraid of the spotlight, that they are ready for the moment. So even though for, I think, all of these guys, it'll be their first time in the NBA Finals, I don't expect them to shrink and be concerned with playing at a Madison Square Garden or playing in an NBA Finals.
Yeah, I mean, when I asked that question, Brockman got in my ear. Go ahead and say what you said in my ear.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who they play, right?
Not really. I mean, I think the Pacers might push them to 6. I think they'd beat the Knicks in 5.
How about that?
Yeah.
Have you ever, give me a comparison to a team entering the NBA Finals with everything set up for the future on top of the present? 68 wins. What you just said, they've passed every test in the Western Conference Finals and prior. I understand that they're still young and really haven't done it yet. They haven't been there, and they haven't done it yet. But the way that they're set up for the future as well, is there anything you could compare these Oklahoma City Thunder to previous conference champion winners going into the NBA with everything that that Oklahoma City has going for it in draft choices for the future? They got 4 this year, don't they?
Yeah, not
first rounders.
I don't know what the number is exactly, but the not in the modern era have we seen a team under these new rules set up to succeed the way Oklahoma City is. I mean, look, Boston last year, we thought that was going to be the beginning of a Boston mini dynasty. Tatum, Brown in their mid-20s, White, Holiday under contract, Porzingis under contract. So the caveat is things can change very quickly. One injury, one bad series, all of a sudden you're looking at your books and saying, maybe we have to shake this thing up. But the Thunder are as equipped as any team over the last, since the end of the Warriors dynasty, or 10 years ago with the Warriors, to replace some of the more expensive parts. So, for example, like Lou Dort, great player for this team. If he gets too expensive for them in the next year or two, they can trade him away, and they've got Case and Wallace kind of waiting in the wings. You look at some of the guys deep on their bench, you know, they're scrubs. They're mop-up guys. Could probably beat like the Wizards, Hornets, and a bunch of other teams in the NBA. So they've got guys that are waiting in the wings. They've got the draft capital, to your point. They've got this kid, and I might write about him in the finals.
Okay.
Nikola Topic, who was their lottery pick last year. Nikola Topic was a star over in Europe. He slipped to the middle part of the first round, in part because he had a knee injury that was going to sideline him for all this season. This kid's had a year to learn the NBA, to get stronger physically, to get better skills-wise. The Thunder are very excited about what Nikola Topic is going to do for this team next year. So that's a player that they can just insert into their rotation next year. So, yeah, I mean, that's a long way of saying I can't think of a team that's as equipped as Oklahoma City is to survive these new cap rules and to succeed in the future.
Deep into the future, as they're sitting back, waiting to host the NBA Finals once it starts. I mean, we'll have a conversation game 1. If they're rusty, ready, all that sort of business, but that's in the future. They
could use a rest, though. I mean, they went 7 games with Denver. That was a grueling series.
Right.
Maybe 8 days is a little bit too long, but I can tell you from talking to people out there, they appreciate the time off.
So does this run take them off the board for Giannis?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if they were ever really on the board for Giannis.
And the only reason why it's being mentioned is because of all the capital
right,
that they have. It's a match for a team that might be, hamstrung enough because their superstar says, I want out.
So, I mean, look, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is a supermax player. In the next couple of years, Oklahoma City is going to have a couple of members of their core, Chet Holmgren, Jalen Williams. These are going to be max-level guys.
Correct. Similar to Tatum and Brown.
Yeah,
in Boston,
I've
right?
never gotten the sense that Oklahoma City was all that interested in adding a player like Giannis, who is going to gobble up like 35% of their salary cap. Like, their strength is their ability to add pieces like an Alex Caruso, like an Isaiah Hartenstein. I just never got the sense Oklahoma City was in play. As much as people like to talk about it, I was talking about it too for months. But when I talk to people out there, I never got the sense that they were in play for Giannis as much as people maybe wanted them to be.
All right. So your colleagues at ESPN this week, Shams on Pat's show and Windhorst came here a couple days ago. They both think this summer is going to be off the rails. Do you feel the same way right now?
I think it has the potential to be really active because there's a perfect storm kind of brewing now in the NBA. Giannis is the head of it, the eye of the storm. He's going to meet with the Bucks, I've been told, sometime in the next couple of weeks. And what comes out of that discussion, I don't know. Can the Bucks sell him on this idea of a gap year? And, hey, we'll be good to go in 26, 27 when we can trade some pieces, get some draft picks that we can deal back. I don't know if he's going to buy that. So we'll see what comes out of that. But if Giannis becomes in play, all of a sudden, everything stops until Giannis can be acquired. But then you have like the situation with the Celtics where we don't know how deep the cuts that Boston is going to make are going to go. The anticipation from other executives is that one or two members of that rotation are going to be traded. Is that Drew Holiday? Is that Derek White? Sam Hauser, I would expect to be gone because they can replace him with a cheaper alternative. But everybody's kind of wondering, like, with Tatum being gone for next year, will Boston get serious about trading Jaylen Brown? There's no indications yet the Celtics are looking at that. But there is questions about whether Jaylen Brown will become available. And there are buyers out there for a Jaylen Brown, for a Giannis. Oklahoma City may be off the table, but San Antonio's not. The Houston Rockets are not. These are two teams that are going to be very aggressive. And because Boston is out of play in the Eastern Conference next year, at least in terms of winning a championship, there are a lot of teams this summer, Rich, that are going to be looking around going, we're one piece away from at least winning the Eastern Conference. I mean, think about it. Like Cleveland, which just had a disappointing second-round exit.
Right.
They got to be saying, like, well, maybe we trade Jaron Allen, we put Mobley at center, we get another wing, and we can make a run. Go down to the bottom of the playoff bracket. Orlando, which gave Boston some hell in that first-round series. Great defense, good young players, maybe one score away from being a top-4 team in the Eastern Conference. They're going to be wondering if they can make a run. So I think there are a lot of teams, because of the short-term demise of the Celtics, that are going to be trying to position themselves as a team that can win the East next year.
What about Durant? Where does he sit in all this here?
He's the one guy I'm most certain will be traded.
Okay.
The team that I'm still watching the closest is going to be Houston. Can Houston make a play for Giannis? I'm sure they would love to. Can Houston make a play for Jaylen Brown? Ime Udoka and Jaylen Brown go way back. Ime loves Jaylen. That would probably be next on their list. But if those two guys are not available and Kevin Durant is still on the board, I think they'd explore it. I've reported in the past there has been mutual interest between Kevin Durant and the Houston Rockets. Kevin played for Ime Udoka when Ime was an assistant in Brooklyn. Every player in the league loves Ime Udoka. Every player wants to play for Ime Udoka. That's a real asset that the Rockets have. And Kevin, I'm sure, not to speak for him, but I'm sure he's looking at that situation going, hey, they just need a score. You know, they can defend. They need somebody to supplement Alperen Sengun. That would be a good situation. It's not ideal for Houston because of the age of Kevin Durant. He'll probably want a new contract when he gets traded. It doesn't really fit their timeline. But if you can add Kevin Durant to a team of Amen Thompson, Fred VanVleet, Alperen Sengun, you got a team that can compete in the West.
What about the Lakers? What do you got for me there?
They're still looking for a big.
Is it true Derek Lively grew 2 inches? Did I read that somewhere?
I haven't talked to anybody in Dallas about it.
That's what I heard. He's now 7'3".
Wemby is 7'7" now, apparently.
What?
Is he growing too? I
I heard that too.
That's the minutia I'm not quite into yet, given that we're not into the offseason at this point.
Isn't this amazing? These players are still so young. They can still have a growth spurt after 7 feet.
If I'm the Lakers, though, I'd be real interested in Daniel Gafford in Dallas. We can play opposite Luka. He's had success doing that. Short term, they went to the finals with him. If you're Dallas, you don't really need Daniel Gafford right now because you've got a three-man front court that can be multi-positional. AD can move up to 5. Cooper Flagg can play 3 or 4. Daniel Gafford right now to them is a luxury. And I don't think you can get like an Austin Reeves for a Daniel Gafford, certainly not. But if you can find a way, if you're the Lakers, to get your hands on Daniel Gafford for a relatively low price, that would, to me, make the most sense for them.
Well, I mean, he's only got to be offered to Lakers.
Only, yes. Only, yes.
That's the only way they acquire a Maverick
right now.
Right? Like that's if Gafford's on the market for others, it's never going to happen. That's the only way that the Lakers and Mavericks make a trade.
You got only one team of the 29 can be dealt with.
So, but LeBron stays, right? He opts in. What do we do here?
I mean, when I talk to people about the LeBron's contract deal, it's just logistically it makes more sense for him to opt in, and then you could extend off that opt-in. So if he wants to extend that contract, and we don't know, he might just want to play out the rest of this deal. He can do that. It's a big number for next year.
It's
for
massive.
LeBron James. Massive.
Well, I mean, listen, he's due it. He should get it. I had Rich Paul here. He said they haven't discussed it yet about his long-term future.
Don't really have to. It's really like, what do you want to do, LeBron?
Right.
Well, and we'll do it.
Well, I mean, and the Lakers are clearly one of those people that will say, what do you want? We'll do it. But why wouldn't he basically say, I've got all the money in the world. I need to win one more. Is this like the NFL where if he takes less, that would be more for others, or there's aprons or rules that would prevent that from actually...
It increases the Lakers' flexibility. And he did that last year with a little bit small haircut on his last contract where it kept them under that second apron. The truth is, though, LeBron correctly believes that his value massively exceeds his contract. Look, NBA star players make a lot of money. We're trending towards the $1 million per game player, the $82 million per year player.
Yeah.
I would argue for a lot of those guys, it's still underpaid. undervalued because of the value they bring to these games. People go to watch, maybe more so than the NFL. People go to watch players in basketball.
Which is why the whole load management thing pisses people off.
Irritates the hell out of them.
Because they do, in fact, go to games to see a specific player, certainly when they only come through a certain town once a year. So that's why the load management question is so infused. Listen, we're spending so much time, certainly in the Western Conference Finals, the face of the NBA, right? Who's the face of the NBA? Is it now SGA more than Anthony Edwards? It's still LeBron James and Steph Curry. Those are the faces of the National Basketball Association in 2025, period. And so, of course, LeBron, outperforms whatever amount of money he's being given.
You could pay him $200 million per year. He would probably still be a bargain for his team and for the NBA. He generates that type of revenue. And look, you see it in the WNBA too, not to veer too far off course.
No, please, you're not far off course at all.
Caitlin Clark's, what do the ratings go down? 40% from what the Fever were drawing before her recent injury. Attendance, like paid attendance versus actual attendance at these games. Wait, people for in basketball more than any other sport, I think they go to watch certain players more than they go to watch certain teams. That's why the value of these superstars, far outsees the contract. Which brings us back to the point where I just don't see LeBron taking a haircut off whatever top dollar figure he can get. Maybe it's a small one, like he did last time, to stay under the second apron, give the team some flexibility. But he's not going to be, a mid-level exception guy for the Lakers going forward.
Well, listen, man. So I guess the next time we talk, you think we'll be talking about the Thunder up maybe in the finals, and that's what you're basically saying right now, right?
I just have a hard time seeing anybody beat Oklahoma City, either one of these teams coming out of the East. I mean, I think the Pacers can get creative with what they do, exceptionally well coached as well. The Knicks just don't have the horses to me. I mean, I like that Tom Thibodeau has discovered his bench in the last few games. Like he went all season long, basically playing 7 or 8 guys, coming under fire constantly for not going deep into his bench. All of a sudden, do you think Delon Wright knew? Did Delon Wright have to check with an assistant after he heard his name? Did he call me in the first quarter?
I'm sure Shamet felt the same way.
Shamet at least has played, right? Shamet's been in and out of the room.
Cam Payne was getting more minutes.
You're right. No, but Delon Wright, I think was a first quarter of game 3. Delon Wright is checking in. Delon Wright, he's checking in first quarter.
He must have been wait a minute.
He's talking about Wright. Did he say Towns? What did he say? Precious Achiuwa is getting minutes now. I mean, it's remarkable to see how this team is winning.
Well, I got to tell you, Chris, if you don't mind me saying, your commentary, your approach, your delivery has been spot on today, and I think the reason why is you've been juicing.
I have. Yes.
You know what I mean? I think you might be the end of this juice cleanse, but I think you're performing better.
If you would like to stop by downtown LA for a barbecue tomorrow, Rich, there will be plenty of meat available. Plenty of meat.
The carnivore to be. Chris Mannix here on the Rich Eisen Show. Thanks for coming in, brother.
Pleasure.
We'll see you soon. Catch the Rich Eisen Show live weekdays from 12 to 3 p.m. Eastern on Roku Sports Channel in the U.S.